What's going on, everybody? And today I'll talk a little bit about the pathways of hair loss. And a lot of people don't understand that when you basically try to overcome the problem of hair loss, this is a problem that can be basically caused by multiple factors. And I basically like to divide or categorize this problem into three basic pathways. First of all is the blood flow pathway. And if you are a person that has a sedentary lifestyle and you're not moving enough, and basically your blood flow to different parts of your body is not optimal, this can be something that causes hair loss, because simply your head, your scalp, is not getting enough blood, and that's in turn will cause hair loss, because basically blood carries the nutrients to different parts of your body. So the fact that you're not getting blood to your scalp means that your hair follicles, they're not getting nutrients and they're not being fed, and thus they're going to get weak and they're going to fall. So this is one of the main things to address when people talk about hair loss. And among the many things that address or that you can use to address this problem, besides, of course, improve your blood flow by just exercising, raising your heart rate, optimizing your VO2 max, and optimizing the oxygen saturation and the blood flow or blood saturation in your body, which are two very important things. But the things or some of the compounds that you can take to address this problem, of course, the first one is minoxidil. And minoxidil is basically something that enhances the blood flow to the scalp or to the applied area, and that can contribute a lot to the rejuvenation of the hair follicles, and to the hair follicles getting the nutrients that they need, and in turn basically becoming better. So the hair gets denser, it gets thicker, because they're getting more nutrients as blood flow is being enhanced to this areas that you put the minoxidil on in the scalp. There are some also essential oils that have been shown in some studies to even be more efficient in enhancing blood flow than even sometimes minoxidil. And this is, to be specific, peppermint oil. Peppermint oil is a vasodilator, and it enhances the blood flow, as known, in the pharmacology of it. And it can be used in the scalp to enhance blood flow efficiently. Some people don't like to use minoxidil, or if they get side effects from minoxidil, I find that peppermint oil mixed, of course, with some other essential oil or some other oil, because it's very, very, very powerful, and you cannot use it concentrated. So you have to dilute it at 3, 5, 7% in some other form of carrier oil. And the third thing is rosemary oil. There has been also some studies on that. And I have my own mix that I like to make for hair loss to address this blood flow pathway. As I don't use minoxidil all the time, or minoxidil is not something that I use on a consistent basis. And there are some reasons for that, and I might go into that in a different video. Nitric oxide boosters can also be used to enhance blood flow to the scalp, and this is something that we can delve into also in another video specifically. But definitely nitric oxide boosters can be used as a part of a overall strategy to address the blood flow pathway when it comes to hair loss. There are some other things, and there are some other notable mentions in this regard. And nitric oxide boosters, there are also ways to basically apply them topically on the scalp, as a lot of the powders of nitric oxide, you can make them in formulations, in solutions, and then apply them to the scalp. And this basically might greatly aid in enhancing the blood flow to the scalp, and thus enhance your strategy when it comes to the blood flow pathway. Another big one is aminophylline, which is basically another very, very big vasodilator, and it also can be applied topically. And this is one that is very, very powerful, actually, and a lot of people find it to be even sometimes too much, but it can be still used as a part of an overall strategy to enhance the blood flow to the scalp, and to get the hair follicles the nutrients that they need to actually grow and stay in the growth phase for longer periods of time, thus producing a thicker, fuller look to the hair. And overall, I just, for a lot of people that are healthy and exercising and have, good or close to optimal blood flow, I feel like the blood flow pathway tend to be overestimated, and honestly, it's overrated for a lot of people. The people that have already they already have good blood flow because they exercise on a regular basis, and their blood flow in their body is already close to optimal or optimized. I feel like for a lot of people like that, the blood flow pathway tend to be very overestimated, and some of those people, may not see great results from using a lot of different compounds in the blood flow pathway, and they'd be better off focusing on other pathways that actually are causing their hair loss. Now, the second pathway of hair loss, of course, is the androgenic pathway. And the androgenic pathway for men, okay, and this is for men, is basically the main culprit for a lot of men that causes their hair loss. And this is why it's called androgenic alopecia, because of the androgens that cause the hair loss. Androgens are the main cause for hair loss, and androgens are basically the essence of what accumulates at the androgen receptors on the scalp for men, and they eventually weaken the hair follicles to the point where you keep losing density, and over time it keeps getting thinner and thinner to the point where you have this typical androgenic alopecia recession at the temples and the crown, and this is mainly caused by androgens, right? Now, as far as androgens, a lot of people, they mix androgens, or they summarize all androgens in DHT. Androgens are way more expansive than just DHT. It is true that DHT is the most potent form of androgens when it comes to attacking specifically the hair follicles and even the prostate. So DHT is the most potent form when it comes to these exact mechanisms in the body, right? More potent than testosterone. But it's not the only form of androgen that attacks the scalp. You have other forms of androgens, even that they are weaker in the way they attack the scalp and cause hair loss, but they still are a cause, right? And those are things like just testosterone, in its free form, like DHEA, DHEAS, androstenedione, and all the other derivatives of androgens, like even people that take anabolic compounds, like maybe nandrolone, that would get reduced to dihydronandrolone, or boldenone, that would get reduced to dihydroboldenone. These will be still active androgens in the body that will eventually or contribute, definitely, in some way or another. They have the possibility of contributing to androgenic alopecia. Of course, a lot more studies need to be done, to purify this thing into a mathematical conclusion where we can say exactly, how much does DHEA or DHEAS, which are like weaker forms of androgen, cause or contribute to hair loss, but in the mainstream science, DHT is the most potent form or type of androgens when it comes to attacking the hair follicles in the scalp, and thus medications like finasteride or dutasteride, the 5-alpha reductase inhibitors, have been formulated and used for hair loss. I think finasteride is the only one that's FDA approved. Dutasteride is not, but of course it's used off-label because it's technically the same mechanism, and it's way more powerful than finasteride, as it blocks the two types, type 1 and type 2, 5-alpha reductase enzyme, and it inhibits the conversion of testosterone to dihydrotestosterone at a way higher percentage than just finasteride. And some people might even find that too much, so they just want to do finasteride because they don't want to get the excessive side effects that they get with dutasteride by blocking way more of the DHT. Now, the androgenic pathway, I like to basically categorize that or divide it into two things. Number one is systematically, and number two is topically, right? Systematically means you're going to take the drug, the finasteride pill, orally by swallowing it and letting it go to your stomach, and then from there letting it go through your system, or sublingually, which is also a very smart route of administration for a lot of people, and its onset seems to be faster. And for some people that may be worried overall on digesting a lot of these drugs, as it has to pass through the liver, it has to do the first pass metabolism through the liver. Some people like to do things either by injection or sublingually. Now, I don't know if finasteride can be administered. I don't know if it exists in the form of an injection, but the forms that we have is a pill that you can either swallow or you can let it dissolve sublingually underneath your tongue. Now, this is the oral pathway, or the oral part of the androgenic pathway. Now, then you have the topical part. So you can have you have these topical solutions of finasteride and dutasteride, basically the 5-alpha reductase inhibitors, that you can apply topically to the scalp, right? And a lot of people have had great results with these solutions applied topically to the scalp, and they have reported very, very minimal side effects in comparison to the oral or the sublingual form of the drug, as its absorption, systematic absorption will be way lower, at a way lower rate than if you digest it orally, right? But here I want to mention something very, very wise, which is people should get their blood tested, and they should get their DHT levels in their system tested to see actually how much DHT their body is producing. And for a lot of people, they find that their DHT is too much. And when your DHT is too much systematically, it's way above range, you have to figure out a way to get it in range, right? And I would prefer that DHT is either in the lower or in the mid, or in the lower mid or lower range, right, of the normal. And not just for hair health, but for prostate health. A lot of people don't think about that. So if your DHT is elevated, if your body's converting so much of your testosterone to DHT, that's a problem for things like increasing the probability that you get prostate enlargement and even prostate cancer. So at that point, DHT, systematic DHT, if it's too high, it has to be controlled. And this can be done at that point by things like finasteride and dutasteride systematically, whether through the oral pathway route of administration or through the sublingual route of administration. Now, then you have, of course, the topical things which people are using, and some people have reported great results with that. Now, the third pathway is the nutritional pathway, right? So a lot of people, if you're not losing hair because the blood flow path, you're not getting enough blood, you don't have a good optimal blood circulation in your body, and if you're not getting hair loss because It's androgenic alopecia. You have androgenic causes to it because you have too much DHT in your system, or too much DHT or androgens are killing your hair follicles in the scalp. Then it could be the nutritional pathway. You might have a malnutrition, your diet is trash, and you're eating stuff that don't have all the vitamins that you need to create an optimal environment for hair to grow. And this includes a lot of different nutritional elements, things like basically iron, which is crucial for producing hemoglobin, which carries oxygen to the hair follicles. Low iron levels, can lead to hair thinning and loss, right? Things like a protein deficiency. If you have a protein deficiency, protein is one of the main building block in the body, and it's the hair is made up of a type of protein called keratin. So basically, insufficient protein intake can disrupt that growth. Things like vitamin D, lack of vitamin D can give you big problems when it comes to hair loss. Zinc deficiency. Zinc is something that is essential for cell growth and repair, and has to be optimized in the body. Essential fatty acids like omega-3 and omega-6, they can also lead to dry and brittle hair, and their deficiency can cause or result in scalp inflammation. Vitamin B, the vitamin B group, it's a big thing when it comes to hair loss. Vitamin B12 deficiency, which basically helps in the production of red blood cells and support hair health. Biotin, which is vitamin B7. Biotin is vital for hair health, and a lot of the hair, skin and nails supplements, they have biotin in them because it's one of the main ingredients that contribute to hair health and hair growth. Biotin deficiency, of course, can cause brittle hair and can, be a cause of weak hair and weak hair follicles. Then you have other mentions like, selenium, you have folic acid, you have vitamin E, and all of these basically play a big role in promoting an environment that is optimal for hair and hair health and hair growth, and you don't want to be deficient in any of these vitamins. Then number 4 would be life factors, things like stress. If you're super stressed, and your sleep is not optimized, and you're always in a very bad negative mental state of mind, and you're always under anxiety, panic, stress, these life factors have to be changed because they can greatly contribute to hair loss, and not just hair loss, a lot of other negative health markers. So it's essential that you get rid of stress, and that you optimize your life, and have minimize the amount of stress that you get in your that you have in your life, whether through changing your environment, changing your job, whatever gives you stress, you have to get rid of that, because stress can be a huge cause of hair loss. So basically, these are the main pathways to hair loss, and I think even more pathways will be discovered as science progresses, and as we find more and more about this whole process of hair loss, and as we discover more things about the human body and the biology and how everything works in our bodies, we will be able to find and discover more and more about the mechanisms that cause hair loss, and the mechanisms of how we can reverse hair loss, and how we can reverse a lot of these adverse effects that happen by understanding more about the human body, and by performing more experiments about the human body, so we can optimize our results when it comes to one of the things that give people a lot of, honestly, anxiety and depression, males and females, and affects how they look at themselves and affects their confidence in society, which is hair loss. So with that being said, these are the main pathways for hair loss, and you have to go through them one by one and make sure that you optimize each one of them, so you can basically create an optimal environment to have healthy hair, and not just hair, skin, and health, as a lot of these things work not just to optimize or make your hair better, but they also work to make your body and your skin and and your overall health better. So with that being said, check out the article on website which would have all these things listed, which is perfecthumanx.com, a place for people, for all of us to understand better how to optimize our body health and functioning in our lives.